What is going on, good people? Chris, my man Chris into his house. This is Kicking It PC. My man Chris, you got yourself muted, brother. But we are in the his house. What's up, man? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Kicking It PC, man. I'm telling you, listen, man, while we get ready to get this thing situated, today has been a crazy, crazy day. Literally, it's almost as if something has been trying to stop us from getting this thing out today. But guess what? Guess what? We back in action, and we are ready to rock and roll today. Today is going to be an amazing session because me and my homeboy Christopher Williams, we're literally here, and we're gonna we can jump into this thing today because we are talking about, you know, like stuff, man, something that women really need to know about men. I'm gonna say it again, like we're talking about things that women really need to know about men. So I'm just gonna say this: listen, if you know a woman, you might want to get her to come and join us tonight. If you have a man and they want to share some things that they want women to know, please go ahead and get them like right now, because this is gonna be an amazing show. We got a lot of good things planned for y'all, and like I said, I'm just excited, man. I'm excited about what we have going on. Do me a quick favor. If you are watching this, what's up? I see Trey, Fred is on the line. Jason Emmerman. Y'all make sure, man, y'all put some comments up in that chat feature while we are getting ourselves ready. I'm telling y'all, man, my man Chris is getting himself together. Y'all, he drove in from Charlotte today. And I'm telling you, he's trying to work with the hotel internet, and it's not working too good for him right now. But I need some praying folks. Keon Patterson, what's going on, man? I need some praying folks. To get this thing going. And let me see here. Nope, this is guest has themselves muted. Guest has muted themselves. So we gonna get this thing going. Let me see. Oh my gosh, I got my auntie, Miss Sharon Glasscock, up on this thing today. My homeboy Keon Patterson, Trey Johnson, Jason Emmerman. Man, listen, y'all, it's about to go down. So I see all these good people getting a pray on. I see these good people getting a pray on today, and this is a beautiful thing that we got people getting a pray on today, man. And with them getting a pray on, they're getting a pray on for a reason, because today, y'all, I'm telling you, it's gonna be an off the chains day today. So I'm trying to bring my homeboy Christopher Williams Chris,
There we go. What
into
it do,
his
man?
house. My man. My
What's
man.
going on?
Man, what's cracking, brother? How you doing,
Yo,
man?
hey man, I'm doing good. I'm gonna switch this camera look,
You
and
go
I'm good.
you go
Oh
ahead and
yeah,
switch that camera look, brother. We're gonna get it in today and we're gonna get it on today. We got several people chiming in today. ATL is well represented. And I was sharing with the people before you jumped on, Chris, that you drove today from Charlotte down to the ATL. So you like an
yeah,
official, like fam bam. We in the city together, man, holding it down.
yeah, man. And I'm always here. I spent 5 years here. Went to college here, so my family's still here. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
always cool to come down and hang out, man, and just enjoy life. So
That's
man,
what
I'm
I'm
ready to
talking
get it.
about. That's what I'm talking about. So listen, man, we have been talking about this topic literally ever since the last time we came on. It was actually
Yep.
somebody told us we should do a topic like this. So we've been kind of preparing and getting
Ooh.
ready and working and fighting through everything to get to this point and this place. And I really believe tonight's gonna be off the chains. Hey, Trey Johnson already said, listen, if y'all need some help, let a brother know. So he's already geared up for the topic tonight, man. But yeah, if Chris, come on, man, just tell him just a little bit, man, about kicking it PC. Like, what is kicking it PC?
Yeah, so Kicking It PC was a brainchild idea that Philip and I had a few weeks ago. I had approached him about getting together, doing some stuff, and we've kind of been thinking about it for the last month or so. Had a nice long conversation, and Kicking It PC is just a real authentic conversation between two guys who have opinions and thoughts and ideas on lots of different things. And so most people talk about keeping it PC, right? Politically correct. And we said, nah, we're gonna kick it PC with Philip and Chris, and be able to approach different topics and talk about things from a human standpoint. So last time we were together was last week. We had a great conversation because we talked about the man codes. That was a great conversation. If you don't remember that one, please scroll back through Philip's timeline. You'll be able to see that information there. We had a great conversation, a great dialogue. This week is the conversation around what do women really need to know about men. So, fellas, share this on your Facebook out now. Let the ladies know that hey, this conversation is going on. And then what I want you to do is have them join us. And if they got questions, tell them to put it down in the comment section. We'll try to address the ones that we can. We actually have some things that we've prepared to be able to talk about to really kind of kick this conversation. So every time we get together, man, this is going to be kicking it PC. Real topics, real conversation between two real brothers.
See, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. And listen, I'm just gonna say this. Listen, real quick, you can make sure that you follow us because we want to make sure y'all follow us because we gonna be doing these kicking a PC, dropping this kind of content with you all like regularly, right? So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say this: if you want to follow me, I got a whole bunch of content. I'm in the process right now of dropping 365 days of amazing content. That's what we say. That's how we say it, Chris. So we're in the process of doing that. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on YouTube, just at Philip Edge, or you can follow me on this Facebook channel or this YouTube channel. So make sure y'all follow me. Chris, how about you, man? How can they follow you?
Man, you guys can get at me here on Facebook or on IG at the Christopher Williams. No, I am not related to the singer, so don't ask.
I was actually really getting ready to ask that. I was like, is that?
And then, nope, we're not related. And if I was, man, it would be a different story. But no,
Right.
Facebook, Instagram, the Christopher Williams. You can also find me on YouTube, The World According to Chris. Just put in hashtag TWAC. You will be able to find me there. Feel free to subscribe, like, and share the content. I do a lot of stuff on tech, motivation, family life, all of that. So you'll enjoy that conversation too.
Yes, sir. I love it. I love it. Y'all listen, if you are not following Christopher Williams, make sure you follow him. The brother got some stuff. Listen, I don't want to let the cat out the bag, but I know there's some men on here who are going to be enjoying some of the content that you have coming up here soon. And it's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
absolutely fire. As a matter of fact, I was gonna ask you if you need me to come to Charlotte to help you with any of that new content that you got coming out, because that's gonna be real good stuff. So y'all make sure y'all follow
Hey,
Christopher Williams. It's going down.
the more the merrier, man. The more the merrier. So, man, let's get this thing kicked off.
Let's do
So,
it. Let's do it.
um, What do women really need to know? Now, again, this was a thought that came up from the last time we got together. We pondered it and thought there's got to be a way we can have this conversation. So, first of all, that it's helpful, but at the same time, it's just not my wife would call empty calories, right? Like,
Right.
I need to be something that's got some substance and some meat to it.
That's
So
right.
we kind of put some things together that we think is going to be helpful to you, but then also give you some things that you can kind of think about when it comes to your own relationships.
That's right. That's right. So, Chris, you had a couple quotes, man. I'm gonna read them out, man. You had a couple quotes, and I just wanted to talk about these quotes just to get us jumped off today. You had one quote by Henry Ward Beecher, and the quote was, "No man is more cheated than a selfish man." Woo-wee.
Yeah, yeah. So it was. I love that quote, especially for this conversation,
Yeah.
because um, one of the things that when you start talking about what do women really need to know is when we start talking about selfishness, I think a lot of times we think about possessions.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what I realize is for guys, at
Mm-hmm.
least, I'm a dude, sometimes we're just selfish with our heart.
Mm.
We're selfish with our emotions, right? We're selfish with our unwillingness to communicate effectively to our the women in our life that we love.
Yeah.
So sometimes, and that can be a lifelong journey. Like at the end of the day, let's not get it twisted. I was just on a clubhouse room. We're a part of a group called the Fatherhood Fraternity,
Mm-hmm.
and guys are in there talking about like the struggles of raising sons.
Yeah.
And it was just such an interesting topic. And I think about, man, there's so many guys like me. I grew up without a father.
Mm-hmm.
There's a version of selfishness that basically he chose not to stay there,
Mm.
right? That's
Yeah.
selfish,
Right. Right.
right?
Right. Right.
That's a selfish way to think. So in this conversation, with the context of what do women really need to know,
Mm-hmm.
we're looking at it from the lens to say we don't want to be selfish,
Right.
right?
Right.
We want to open that up so that the women who have first of all given us birth and supported us in our lives
Right.
know that we are here to be at our highest form of self. So that's why I love that quote.
And I think that the quote is an amazing place to start, right? Because you said something, and it just touched a nerve when you said that as men, right? In general, and I'm speaking generally, right? We don't want to be selfish, right? We don't wake up, for the
Right.
most part, and say, you know what, today I'm gonna try to be selfish and withhold myself from my spouse. Generally speaking,
Yeah.
that's not the way it works. So again, to have these healthy conversations, I believe is a great thing. We do have Sharon Glasscock on here, who is that is my auntie. That's my wife's aunt right there. So she is actually on. So we at least have one voice of a woman. Hopefully, we can get a couple other women who are joining in with us tonight. You also had another quote though. You in this quote it said, "The power of a real man is the size of the woman sitting next to him." And that spoke to me right there. Let me read it again. The
Yeah.
power of a real man is the size of the woman sitting next to him. That's powerful.
Yeah. It actually it's the power of a real man is the size actually, and I think I meant to change this up. It's actually the power of a real man is the size of the smile of the woman sitting next to him.
Nice.
And I think it's because all of us have heard that little edict about you want to know how a man's doing, ask his wife,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
um but I think it's deeper than that. It's not, it's sometimes we say stuff just because it's whatever, it makes people feel warm and fuzzy, but I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact that God gave us dominion and
Mhm.
territory, and then he also gave us a support system by which to make that a home.
That's good.
And I think a lot of times, at least for me, I'll speak
Mhm.
for myself. I have learned that um, give of myself to a woman who choose to walk through this life with me and be
Mhm.
on this timeline with me deserves my service of saying, look, I'm human, I'm a screw up,
Yeah.
but I'm going every day trying to be a better man today than I was yesterday. And
Right.
the fact that what it was, I think it was you and I were having this conversation about the fact that if my wife makes a choice
Yeah.
to love
Yeah.
me, because it's a
Yeah.
choice,
Yeah.
don't have to.
Yeah.
Jesus chose to love us. That was a
Come on.
choice,
Come on.
right?
Yep.
So if my wife wakes up today and goes, "That's my man," you
Mm-hmm.
know what? Don't play around with that choice,
That's right.
right? So it's so if she's happy, right,
Mm-hmm.
and she can honestly say, right, that doesn't mean, and I also want to say this to guys, it doesn't mean it negates that our wives are not also growing with us. It
Right.
just means that the barometer by which, you know, if you have your priorities, God, you, your wife, and your kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
God, you, and your wife.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm taking care of that priority, right, things are good.
Things are good,
Things are
right?
things are relative. Doesn't mean that everything is perfect. It
Right.
just means I got somebody riding with me that has said, "You and I today,
Right.
cool."
Right. Right. And it's interesting that you bring that up because we were talking about the choice, right? So I choose to love you. I choose to fight with you. I choose to ride
Hmm.
with you. There is something powerful that happens when your spouse chooses to rock with you. I was sharing with you. My wife and I, we've been married 20 years, right? April will be 21 years. Been together 28 years, but there is something about knowing that my wife is willing to ride with me through thick and thin.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And literally because of that, it makes me like, man, I feel like the Incredible Hulk, man, when I get around her. You know what I'm saying? Because I know
yeah,
I know she's with me. It's like, when we're together, they can't stop us. When we
hmm,
go place, they can't stop us. And we're together, and that gets me like geeked up to the max right there. So there's something
yeah,
powerful about, again, as a man wanting to choose to love your wife. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where in society we got off in which we got the old, as I call it, the uncle syndrome, where the uncles are like, boy, you need 15 girls and you need this and you need that. I mean, it's old uncle syndrome, right? How many
yeah,
girlfriends you got? And I'm like, man, what, like getting married and finding the one, bro. I was like, man, there is nothing like being married. There is nothing like having that one. I can't even
yeah,
explain it. Like, this is the good life. I'm looking at single bros like, bro, y'all missing out. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like this. There's something about that, and that comes from that choice, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm
absolutely.
glad you brought that one up, man. See, I could take that somewhere, but we not. One of the things though, Chris, that you and I were talking about, especially as it related to things that women needed to know. I was sharing with you. One thing my wife had to learn about me was like my mannerisms, really, and kind of what they mean. You know,
Hmm.
for me, I'm an extrovert, right, publicly, but I'm an introvert privately. And I know that may
Hmm.
sound crazy, but like when I'm out in public, I'm out there. I'm loving
Hmm.
people. I get energy from that. But when I'm at home, bro, I'm at home. So one of the things that my wife had to learn was like my body language. And sometimes when I'm at home, I wasn't up here all excited and all animated. And she had to learn to understand that just because I was silent didn't mean that I was angry. And I do believe
Ooh,
that for many
mm,
men, silence does not equal anger. Silence many times is me processing. Silence many times is me thinking about all the things that we got going on. I mean, bro, we got 5 children, we got a grandchild, we got this household to maintain, and we going every which way every single day. It doesn't stop. We don't
yeah,
get a day off. I tell people, and people look at
right.
me and laugh. They're like, "You don't have a day off?" No, I don't have a day off because the weekend we got stuff that we got going on. Sunday we got stuff. That's a
Hmm.
full day's work, and then Monday you just turn around and you do it again. So many times when I was at home, my mannerisms and that silence of me processing and thinking things through, we had to really come to an understanding that silence did not mean angry, or silence didn't necessarily mean
Yeah,
that I was disappointed, particularly with her, because I know with my wife, I know she loves me, and I know she wants me to be happy and to be proud of her and to be, like really, like she really like desires that. So when I don't
Mm-hmm.
seem that away, it can almost for her make it feel like she did something wrong. And I had to say, no,
Yeah.
you're not doing anything right, baby. You're doing everything right. This is just
Mm-hmm.
me as a man processing, because sometimes we process internally, whereas my wife, she processes externally.
Yeah. I think what's cool about that too is like if you think about the last 20 years, there was a narrative about us as men that we don't have emotions, we
Yeah.
just you just get it done, we're just Mr. Fix-Its. And I think the great thing is that now more and more men, I mean, I'm a part of a fatherhood fraternity of
Mm-hmm.
3,000 men around the country who get
Mm.
together and they, I mean, talk about everything. And if you was a woman who dropped in, you'd be like, they sound just like us. Yeah, because we're human,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's the difference is the way it comes out,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And that's where as men we got to do a better job of letting our spouses or our girlfriend in enough to say, hey, like the issue is interpretation, right? I'm
Right.
saying one thing, but how is she receiving it?
How's she
And vice
receiving?
versa,
Right. Right.
right? So if I think I'm communicating,
Mm-hmm.
there's one thing of talking out loud, there's another thing of effective communication,
That's it.
right? And so it's I can be saying something like, my wife is my wife is the type of person that she don't really a lot of things that you would think is like, oh, all women love that. Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is the kind of person, if you do something like go take out the trash,
Yes.
pick up the kids so I don't have to think about it,
Yes.
make sure they got dinner on the table,
The
that
acts
sends
of
my
service.
wife
The
through
acts
the,
of
yeah,
service. Yeah.
she's that person, right? So
Yeah.
I had to learn, like, my wife ain't, now does she like flowers? Sure. But what really my wife is like is when she can go, oh, but I thought we had this, this, and this on the calendar. And I'm like, baby, I got it. And
Yep.
she's like, oh my God. Because it's always on her brain,
Right.
right? It's always something that she's processing. And so I had to learn, like one of the stories I always tell about my wife is when I first met her, because we have a blended family.
Mm-hmm.
I inherited my boys. And I remember coming in, the ego side of my brain was like, where's she gonna find time for me? Because she running from here to there. She go to this
Right.
practice, that practice. She run this business. And what I realized was in the middle of that tornado is a woman who is just trying to maintain and keep peace. And what I got to learn to do is, if I can step inside of that perfect storm, which is
Mm-hmm.
really what it was,
Mm-hmm.
and take something off her plate,
That's it.
that sent a bigger signal deeper into that storm that was like, oh, he really, what?
Yeah.
He willing to go pick up, he gonna save me 45 minutes?
Yeah.
You mean to tell me he gonna make sure he gonna take the kids away?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that spoke better to her than what most men would do, is try to, well, girl, when you gonna spend some time with me?
Right.
Well, when we go, brother, you ain't getting nowhere with this woman.
Right.
Not this one.
Right.
Not gonna happen.
Right.
And so I had to learn that. I had to learn, oh, I gotta serve her in a way that's gonna release her mentally,
Yeah.
right?
That's good.
To
That's
where she
good.
feels like, dang, okay, this is great. Like he actually is. Now, that's a long-term play. And again, if you ain't a guy that's self-aware enough that like this is what she really needs,
Yeah.
not because you'll get back yours 100-fold if you
Right.
understand that sort of thing. And I'm not saying all women like that. I'm just talking about my wife.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
that's her. That's the way she operates.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what's going on. If I speak to that side of her,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's the best thing in the world. So I would say, for what you're talking about, man, it's so dope because I'm like, I've had to learn that and I keep learning it and
Yeah.
constantly make sure that I reinforce that because I know that speaks to her more than anything else I could do.
Yeah, that's huge right there. And it's funny because my wife is very similar. I know later on we're going to talk about a little bit about the 5 love languages, but when we talk about acts of service, that's my wife all day. My
Mm-hmm.
wife literally, I could come and put the dishes in the dishwasher, wipe the counter down, and after you finish dinner time, you gotta, I don't know why you gotta do this, but you gotta take the rag and you gotta put it over top of the little sink and turn it over. I don't know why you gotta do that, but that just means the kitchen's closed, right? So if she
That's
comes
right.
in there and she sees the kitchen closed, the trash out, and just the counters. bro, you would think that I bought her $1 million ring or something. You know what I'm saying? Like you would think I did the biggest thing in the world. Because to
Mm-hmm.
her, it really was. Because I love what you said. You took something off of her plate. And,
Yeah.
again, my wife, she's constantly going, every day, she gets up super early, she goes to bed late. So again, that 5 minutes, that 10 minutes, that's like huge for her. So we're
Mm-hmm.
working. But again, getting back to what we're saying though, you know, for us as men, I think we're trying to process those things. You said
Yeah.
earlier this was something that you had to learn. How did you go about just kind of learning that? Like how do you know that like you should do stuff like that as opposed to just be like me because that's what society teaches us. Society really
Mm-hmm.
teaches us as men. It's like, hey, it's me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I grew up in
Yep.
a time to where it was like, if you were the man, you went and you sat down, you had your plate in front of you. You know what I'm saying? When you was done, your plate got. I mean, like literally, it wasn't that long
Mm-hmm.
ago that we saw stuff like that. So how did you, as a man, begin to see things differently? Like being able to say, you know what? How can I serve my wife? How can I? And I'll use this term. How can I make love to her mind? And really, like,
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? And
man.
like
Let's go.
really like speak to her. How can I do those kinds of things?
Hmm. So my natural default is I'm an observer.
Mm,
I am not like one of the friction points we have is I'm an observer, so
mm-hmm.
I don't react to a lot of stuff up front, and it takes me a while to process what I'm seeing. Well, I won't say it doesn't take me a long time to process what I'm seeing. It takes me a while to articulate what I need to do in the moment,
That's
right?
good. Yeah, yeah.
So for me, because I'm an observer, I would just, I would watch like what's going on throughout the day when my wife and I were dating. Like what like this woman is, like you said, there's no turn off when you got two boys in sports all year round, and she runs her own company. She's by herself. She's got to, think about getting the kids back and forth here. And yes, thank God for my mother-in-law who's always been the one to step in and help out. But it's like she's got to coordinate pickup times, drop-off
Right,
times. She's got to
right,
coordinate. Well, how do I also make these meetings?
right.
And what happens about this? And how do I make sure dinner's on the table while I'm sitting in another meeting? And what, you know what I mean? Like, so I just observed her every day. Like just, all right, okay, I see she's got this, she's got that. And then there would be times where I would just ask, like, what is your schedule today? And she's
Yeah,
like, I got this, 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 this. And then when I would hear something that I could do, I tell you what, let me pick up the kids from practice after I get off of work. That way you can stay home. That way it saves you an hour because the boys practice are, on this side of town,
right.
right? I will go pick them up, get them to the house, get them settled, and make sure that they eat.
Yeah,
And in her brain, it was, oh my God, that's gonna save me an hour and a half, and I can go do X. Good. All
that's
right, cool. Let me go
huge.
do that.
That's huge.
That meant more to her than me talking about, hey, so what about Thursday night? Can we go out on a date?
Right,
Like
right,
that don't it
right,
don't do nothing for her, right? And
right,
she's like, that's something else I gotta think about, right?
right.
So I'm an observer. And so I just kind of observed, like what was her schedule?
Mm-hmm.
What does she have to tackle every day? And I started looking at where can I add value in the moment. That's it.
And I'm gonna say this because I think you hit on something really really key, right? Being an observer, and I want to ask our men who are tuning in right now: are you all observant with your spouse? Do you watch what your spouse is really saying as opposed to what you
Hmm.
hear her saying? Like, what does that
Hmm.
look like for you all? Put that inside of the chat feature today, because we really want to hear from you all today. Are you observing also, and what things have you noticed, or what traits have you noticed also as it relates to your spouse? And then finally, what do you believe, men? I'm talking to men now. What do you believe women really need to know? Go ahead and put that inside of the comments there as well, because we want to
Hmm.
hear from you all on today. Awesome, awesome.
Yeah. So the next one that I have is, you know, I think about, what do women really need to know? I think about, the do you understand, what wounds he might actually be carrying
Mm.
into the relationship that you got?
Woo.
So because a lot of times, like, you ever heard like the whole thing about, you know, um you might do something that's naturally or say something that's funny to you, but they took it sideways.
Yes.
And you was like, dang, I was just playing,
Yeah.
right? What you did was you stepped on a landmine or a wound that
Mm-mm.
reminded them of something,
Yes.
right? So I would say what women need to really know about men is, many of us, and I just got out of this conversation with the father of fraternity, like, many of us are walking around with these wounds that haven't healed,
Yeah.
but yet we're still trying to be a husband,
Mm-hmm.
a father, a gainful employed, two-person household income, serve,
Mm-hmm.
community person, right? Best dad, present. Like, we, just as you wear a lot of hats as a woman, we're wearing a lot of hats that by the way, sometimes are self-inflicted.
Right.
Sometimes we assume that that's what you want from us,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there are wounds, like some of the conversations we were having were like about, like, you know, if I didn't grow up with a dad,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm trying to raise my sons, I may be doing stuff out of what I think
Yeah.
is needed, but it's stressing me out because I don't know, right? I
Right.
don't know what I don't know.
Right.
So, like, I'll never forget this. My wife one time, this is a dope moment. Because I used to tell my wife all the time, like, we go to bed and she's like, "Okay, babe, what you feeling? Like, what you thinking?" And I'm like, "Honey, I don't know what the heck I'm doing with these kids.
Right.
Like, I just every day I just wake up and I'm
Right.
just like, I don't." And the one thing she said to me, she said, "All they want you to do is be present.
Come on. Yep.
Don't
Yep.
try to get it right.
Yep.
Just look. If y'all playing video games, y'all playing video games. If he want to go outside and skateboard, watch him skateboard.
Mm-hmm.
If they playing lacrosse, be at the lacrosse game,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If they, like, just be present." And so I had to learn that, right? But the wound I'm carrying is, well, I ain't never had a dad.
Right.
Now, I
Right.
didn't think it would impact me, but now I'm dealing with two boys, and it's like, oh snap,
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't know, and what I know just as a being a man. For example, I was born in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
My programming was from a single parent household that was, uh mom worked from 8 to 5 and 6 to 11,
Right.
right? So my programming is outdated for 2021,
Right. Right. Right.
right? So what women really need to know is that sometimes the old wounds we're carrying
Mm.
is something we are still working. And you might see it, right?
Yeah.
But maybe the way you're interpreting it is as we're attacking you, or
Mm.
we're making it you, and it's like, no, it's not you. It's this thing that I'm still trying to figure out.
I'm trying to
For
deal with.
example, yeah, as a man, I don't know a day that go by that I don't wonder, man, I know I'm lucky. Does my wife, like, does she really, is she still choosing me?
Wow.
Like, 'cause she got options. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
So I could be waking up with all these thoughts,
Right.
and she might just make a joke. Oh, that phone call was this man that's after me, and I'm flying off the handle, even though she's
Mm.
playing, right?
Right.
But in
We
my
ready.
mind,
We
I'm
ready to fight
already
for real.
nervous.
Yeah.
I'm ready to fight.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, no, dude, you're afraid.
Yeah.
You're wondering if she gon' go somewhere else. Why? Because
Mm.
maybe you did that prior to meeting her,
Right.
right?
Right.
So now
Right.
it's these wounds, right? So for a lot of women, it's like, think about with your man. If you observe, sometimes you may trip over something with him. Maybe it's a wound that he got, right?
Right.
And maybe y'all need to have a conversation about, all right, is there something that he needs help processing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, it could be a mama wound, right?
Right. Right.
It could be an inner vow that needs to be unwound,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We all make these inner vows sometimes when we single that don't work for when you in a marriage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you just got to be real with yourself.
And the thing, that scar thing is huge for us as men, because many times as men, we're not gonna mention the scar. You know what I'm saying?
Heck no.
We're not gonna mention that, because again, if you mention it as a man, that's a sign of weakness, and I'm not gonna
Yeah,
mention that. You
man.
know what I'm saying? I'm gonna
Nope.
carry that thing. I'm gonna put it on my shoulder, or even worse than that, I'm gonna bury that thing somewhere, which is why it becomes that landmine.
Deep.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to bury it as far down as I can,
Yep.
because when I bury it, nobody can find it. Nobody can touch that. But when you find
That's right.
somebody, that you love, and they're able to dig that thing up, it's like, ooh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I didn't even remember that I felt that way. But now you just touched
Hmm.
something. So now you're getting a reaction based upon this thing that you just touched. And many times that doesn't feel good.
Deborah Cox had one of the greatest songs back in the day. How did you get here?
Mm.
Yo, y'all got to go back and watch this old '90s video. But the line is, "How did you get here? Nobody is supposed to
Nobody's
be
supposed
here.
to be here. Yeah.
I tried that love thing for the
For the
last
last time.
time."
Yep.
My
Woo.
heart says,
Mm-mm.
right? Yo, y'all got to go listen to that.
I want to go. I want to
The
say
line,
no, no,
yeah, like
no.
the song, boy, is deep though.
Yeah.
Like there ain't nobody supposed to hit that part.
Right.
Like not that thing. Like I thought I locked that bad boy somewhere, and I thought I was just moving on with my life
Oh yeah.
until you mess around and run into somebody who love you, and you starting to move, and you, oh snap, like, oh God, now we in this space, and they don't know that they hit that, right?
Mm.
All they know is you just reacted a crazy way, and they're like, yo,
What's up with you?
we just out here, yeah, like what
Yeah.
the heck is going on? Like it's, so I think that's one of the things that women really need to know about men is that we carrying some wounds that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, if we're not careful, you may interpret it as me reacting to you a certain way in negative parts, not realizing that if we stop for 2 seconds, that it's just a wound that comes with the territory.
Yeah, and I think even when we talk about scars and past hurts and things like that, I know just in doing counseling with a lot of couples, we work with them to be able to create space to have those open conversations and those open dialogues,
Mm,
and to be able to say, okay, hey, wait a minute, I just touched something here, and we need to create a space where we can come and have that conversation. It may not be right now, but ultimately
yeah.
we need to create a space where we can actually come and have the conversation, so we can figure out what just happened. Because here's the thing, if
Yeah.
if we don't figure out and deal with it, again, it just becomes something else that we sweep under the rug. So now every time somebody comes into that room, they're tripping over that mountain
Hmm.
that has formed inside of that room. So we got to create space to have those conversations, and it has to start with an openness, like, I really do love you, and I'm not
Right.
trying to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
like we're
Yeah.
in this thing together. I just need to
Yeah.
understand kind of where we are, and what
Yeah.
what just happened here.
There's a interesting exercise that I would highly suggest any couple do. Um, you write down, kind of the things that you need to say out loud,
Mhm.
right, to your
Mhm.
significant other. And you don't make a long list. Just 3 to 5 things.
Mhm.
You sit in the kitchen or in the wherever, two chairs. You don't turn them towards each other. You sit back to back,
Right.
and you make a statement out. You read one of them out loud,
Mm.
and you let the person respond to that situation.
Wow.
The reason why you do it back to back is because a lot of times, here's what happens: we communicate with all of our five senses, right?
Mhm.
When you take away the visibility of that person, right,
Mhm.
it takes away you reacting to their physical communication,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And it forces you to listen to what they said, not how they said it.
Right. Right.
Because
Right.
I talk with my hands. My eyes might get big. I
Mm-hmm.
might turn my head to the side, right? Like,
Right. Right. Right.
all these
Right.
things that we do,
Right.
right? When we trying to tell somebody off, or when we
Right.
feel a certain way about something,
Right.
it sends a signal,
Yes.
right? So this forces you to sit down, make one statement without like going to that level,
Yeah.
and give that person a chance to respond,
Yeah.
right? In one or two sentences, not respond in a way that, well, I thought you, nope, respond to what they just said.
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk
Mm-hmm.
around it. Talk to exactly
That's
what
exactly
that
what.
person just said. It's not about whether you agree or not.
That's good.
This is their list,
Yeah. That's
right?
good.
And I remember doing that one time and canceling them. Boy, that I didn't do well. I screwed that up. I
Right.
I
Right.
screwed up
Right.
because
Right.
I couldn't get over myself. That's really what it was. I just couldn't get
Mm-hmm.
over myself of of feeling I was interpreting it as an attack. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, it's not an attack, dude. It's That's a real statement. So you got to
Right.
speak to the moment. Like, you know, but men, we got egos, so we
We do.
struggle with that.
We do. We do. And that's real. That is something that a woman needs to know also. I mean that's
Yeah.
real. That men, we do have egos, and you just said it. Sometimes we might be a little older, but sometimes we need to be coddled sometimes too. And I'm not being
Hmm.
funny. I'm being real. You know what I mean? Like sometimes even though we're big, strong, and tough, sometimes we need a woman, our spouse, to be able to say, hey, it's gonna be okay. Sometimes you need
Hmm.
that person to sit down with you. Sometimes you even need that shoulder to cry on and that safe place to come to and release to, because we've been carrying so much. Because, bro,
Yeah.
again, as a man, we carry a lot because that's just what
Hmm.
men do. You know,
Yep.
one of the things about men I've seen is that, and we talked about it during our last episode, we have a hard time trusting, particularly other men, to be able to go out and release it or hit the release valve to the things that are going on the inside of us. So if we don't have a place to hit the release valve, we carrying all that stuff. So now going back to what you said, when one of those landmines is touched,
Hmm.
we're not going off just for what was happened with the landmine. We're going off for every other emotion and every other thing that was happening. So
Yeah.
again, we got to create those safe spaces to have those conversations. The activity that you just shared, phenomenal, bro. Phenomenal. Just being able to
Yeah.
sit and talk and have
Yeah.
conversation. Awesome.
Yeah. And so, why are we having this conversation tonight about what women, really need to know about men? There's a great resource that I know you've used before,
Yeah.
and that's the book by Gary Chapman, The Five Love Languages. And as we kind of round the corner on this conversation, let me ask you this question. As a pastor, as somebody who sits with countless couples, who has to think about the larger end game,
Mm-hmm.
and help people navigate their emotions, their wounds, their hurts, their feelings, their doubts, their whatever. Um, you know, what is from the heart of a pastor,
Mm-hmm.
what is that thing that you see is kind of the common trip up that people are having when trying to navigate the raw side of who we are as man and woman, right? Like, what's that thing that you notice on a consistent basis that you're like, man, this is why you do what you do, right?
Right.
Like, this is the reason
Right.
why people call you, because you're seeing it and you know how to help people navigate. Not only that, but helping men say, yo, at the end of the day, you gotta be honest, raw honest with your wife,
Right.
so that, one, honestly, so that she can help you. Cause she
Right,
don't
right.
know what she don't know, brother. If you don't,
If
you
you
know what I
don't
mean?
if you don't say it,
If you
yeah.
don't go, yeah, if you don't say it, it's not her fault
Right,
that she's drowning, right?
right.
In your emotional hangups because you going crazy. So what's kind of some of those things that you see, as
Well,
a pastor that you try to navigate through?
yeah, I think the one big one, and we're talking about it. We're kind of talking around it today, and we'll kind of really just hone in is communication and the way we communicate. Many
Hmm.
times, the way that we communicate, the way that we receive communication may not be the same. The way that I receive
Hmm.
love may not be the same, and that in and of itself creates this huge issue and this huge ditch that we gotta jump over in some kind of way. When my wife and I, when we do marriage counseling, we have a couple who come to us and they say, hey, listen, we want to get married. The first thing that we're going to do inside of that marriage counseling session is say, you need to go get Gary Chapman's book, The Five Love Languages. You need to read the book. And once you read the book, let us know. And here is a test so you can actually go through to see what your specific love languages are. Because the number one thing that we hear from people, and this is going to sound so crazy, especially after the marriage, after the honeymoon, and life is starting to get real now, the number one thing that we hear from them is this statement right here: I'm just not in love with him anymore. I'm like, excuse me? You
Wow.
you what? You
Wow.
what like how what do you mean you're not in love with him anymore? And we have to we try to help couples to understand, number one, love is not a feeling. Like love
Mm.
is it's not a feeling. It's an action. It's something that you do. Going back to what we said earlier, love is a choice that you make. Like, you choose to love someone. It's not based upon how you feel. Your feelings don't matter, to be honest with you, because the reality is, when you got together in holy matrimony, you got together with purpose. You got together for purpose, right? During our marriage counseling, one of the things that we do with people, I don't know if you ever done this, but if you haven't, I want you to do it also. We tell people, we need you to sit down and create a vision statement, a personal vision statement, but a vision statement for your family. What is your family supposed to do? Like what's the reason that you all are getting together? There has to be an end in mind. What's the end in mind for you getting together? So between figuring out what's our purpose together and how do we communicate together effectively, those two things right there help to gel relationships and gel husband wives together, right? So with the five love languages, man, that book is so powerful. I don't know if you know yours. I wrote mine down. So with me, if anybody doesn't know Gary Chapman's book, The Five Love Languages, it basically speaks about how we receive love. And there are different languages to love, and people receive them differently. They're words of affirmation, which are, doing things like, "Hey, you're awesome, you're amazing," those kinds of things. They're gifts, physical touch, quality time, and acts of service. Those are the five different love languages, if you will. And everybody has something different. But if you're speaking your love language to your spouse and that's not their love language, you could automatically be in friction. And so we got to figure out how to talk and communicate effectively with our spouse. It's very simple. I use an example all the time, talking about my grandmother. When I was talking to her one day and I said, "Grandma, that's hot," and my grandma said, "Don't touch it." And I'm like, no, 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 not like Michael Jackson hot, not that kind of hot, Grandma. But she didn't understand it. So I was saying the right words the wrong way. You got me?
Mm.
The right words
Hmm.
the wrong way. And many times in relationships, when we're communicating our love for our spouse, we're saying the right thing the wrong way. I'll give you
Man, what
you
you
see what I'm
talking
saying?
about?
I'll give you a real life example. One of my big ones, my second love language is gifts. Brother, I love gifts. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I'm just, I hate even saying it out loud, but I love getting gifts. I really do. And my wife knows this now, right? But I'm the type of person that I like Christmas or something like that, my birthday, I get a gift and I like pull the wrapping paper real slow and my wife said, "Would you please just open up that thing?" No, because I enjoy the whole aspect of getting
The
gifts. Now,
whole process.
right. My wife don't like gifts, bro. So I remember, like for me, because I love
Mm.
gifts, I try to shower my wife with gifts. One crazy thing about me, Chris, you may not know this. I think you do. I'm a shoe fanatic.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I love like I'm sitting here looking at a wall of shoes right now, like right in the front. I love shoes. I have way too many shoes, but I love shoes. So I would try to go out and like hit the matching shoe thing with my wife. So if I'm getting some J's, I bought a matching pair for my wife. So I'm excited. I'm like, baby, don't you know these are the so and so? They only made 11,000 pairs
Yeah.
of these in the whole world, and I got a pair for you and for me. My wife be like this, but did you take the trash out? You see what I'm saying? Because that's her language. And I honestly, bro, I would get so mad. I'd be like, man, you don't even
Oh man.
appreciate the gift. You don't even appreciate it. Do you understand what I had to go through? You just don't get it.
Right.
But what it was that that's not her love language. She don't
Yeah.
even care. So again,
Right.
that language thing is huge. And if we understand that, that's one of the things to help us to not fall out of love with our spouse because we understand our spouse.
Yeah, and I think that I like the way you brought the distinction between love and the feelings.
Yeah,
Love is an action word.
that's right.
No different than running a business.
Right.
You were in love with the idea of running a business until you started running a business. And
You saw
now
behind the scenes then.
all of that's gone. Yeah, all of
Right.
that's gone now, right?
Right.
And it's just and you got to go to work, right? There's no, you know, you fell in love when you was 18 with getting out on your own and having a job. Now you out on your own and got a job and some kids, and you
Mm-hmm.
like, man, okay, but you still got to go to work,
Still
right?
got to
You
go to
still got to.
work.
So you're past the thought of it, right?
Right.
And so, I for me, mine is quality time, words of affirmation, uh, physical touch, um, acts of service, and then receiving gifts, right?
Yeah.
Here's what's crazy: my top is my wife's bottom, and
Wow.
vice versa.
Wow. Wow.
So for us, it's the recognition to your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's like, well, 5 days in a row you ain't put the clothes in the washer, or you forgot to go pick up the kids.
Right.
Brother, I don't care about these pumps right now,
Right.
right? It's like, oh snap, all right. So so having to realize what speaks, my wife's language is so important. Now, the crazy part about it is, um learning to speak someone else's language. Let's go back to the very beginning of this conversation. What
Mm-hmm.
was the quote? There's no more man that's cheated than the one that's selfish.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be selfless in order to be willing to see what someone else's love language is and go make a deliberate choice.
Right.
Love. We back to the beginning.
Right.
Make a deliberate choice to
Make a
go,
deliberate choice. Yep.
I'm doing it.
Yep.
I'm doing it.
Yep.
Right? This today, I'm doing it.
Yep.
Right? And by the way, here's the crazy part. No matter where your relationship is when you discover their love language.
That's good.
If y'all on, both of y'all got grenades and stuck in y'all trenches, somebody can step out of their trench
Right.
and go, you know what? She might throw a grenade at me, but today I'm just gonna wake up and tell her I love her and just move on about my day.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I'm
Yeah.
gonna do. I'm gonna just, all right. Her love language is words of affirmation. All right, I'm gonna just tell her. If
Mm-hmm.
I can't say it because we've been so tenuous, I'm just gonna write it on a sticky and put it
Put it
on
up
her side
some.
of the
Yep.
bathroom mirror.
Yep.
Right? Like, if that's all I can do for the day,
Yeah.
cool. Right? But it's a choice,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So the love languages for me had taught me much more about the choice of love,
Mm-hmm.
the choice of, uh, not only observing my wife, but going, oh, there's things that actually would be of value to her.
Right.
That, by the way, are a lot of energy for me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, like it's a lot of energy for me to do it my wife's way because it's at the bottom of my list, but
Yes. Yes.
it's the top of hers,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So, so that thing, like my wife is, and she's that way. Like we had read it before and we talked about it, and it's crazy because my wife is intentional that way.
Mm-hmm.
She looks for ways to. She's always complimenting me
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I appreciate that.
Right.
It it drives me insane in a good way when my wife give me a compliment.
Right.
Boo, I like the way you've been working out. Boo, I'm happy you lost that weight.
You
Boo, I
ever
like the way you
you ever
you
working it?
handled that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, keep
Yeah.
talking, boo, keep talking.
Right.
You know, but that might be a lot of. But I also have to accept and be grateful that that might take a lot of energy from my wife, who's a very straight and direct and a go kind of girl.
Yeah.
She ain't into the fuzzy Philly with a lot of, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
have to be grateful. Like, oh snap, this
She
might
working hard.
be at the. She's working
Yeah.
hard,
Yeah.
trying to communicate to me.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
doggone it, when you step up and go, when you had that realization, like, oh snap,
Mm-hmm.
like she's trying.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me slow down,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let me not be in attack mode. Let me not trying to find something wrong with. Nope, she actually just did it, right? So all right,
That's it.
I gotta acknowledge the moment,
That's it.
right? Acknowledge the moment she did it, and by the way, speak to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm big with my wife. Like sometimes in the middle of chaotic stuff going on through the week, a lot of times I'll stop my wife and I'll say, "Hey, babe, you know what? Let me give you some praise for a moment because we was on that call, and you and I didn't know where you was going, but I like how you handled X.
Yeah.
Right? I saw how you kind of, but I just want you to know I appreciate that,
That's
right?
good.
Or, babe, I totally missed that meeting. I was in the middle of, and you get stepped in there and you just hand, thank you, babe,
Mm-hmm.
appreciate it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like because I don't care who we are, we want somebody to acknowledge what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're all It's like your kid pulling on your coattail trying to get your attention. We still got that in us. Just because
Yeah.
we grown don't mean it changed. It
We
just
got
changed
the
forms.
me. Right. Help. Help. Hey,
Yeah.
hey,
Like
hey, here. Yeah.
you still want your wife to recognize you, to
Absolutely.
pay you some attention. She wants
Absolutely.
you to pay attention to her. Like
Yeah.
so I've learned for me in my household, like I invest a lot of time in that area because I realize it. Like you said, I mean, I love how you said that. Like, yo, this is my ride or die. Like at the end of the day, ain't everything else can kick rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Not, but
No,
but
that's
at
real.
home,
That's
we
real.
good.
That's real. As long as me and you
Yeah,
good, it don't nothing else matter. We gonna
nothing else
ride
matter.
together. You know what I'm saying? I sit here and look at you and you look at me and we have two apples and whatever and two peanut butter sandwiches. But listen, as long as you with me, we good.
Yeah,
And that's
we
just
good.
real. That's just real. That's
Yeah,
real.
and I think it does one. I used to look at that like, oh, women be wanting to feel like they protected. Like, what am I supposed to do? Walk around with a gun? No, she wants to know she's emotionally protected with you.
Mm. Yeah,
That don't take
let's
an
talk about
AK-47.
that. That's good. That's good.
That
That
don't
don't
take an
take no
AK-47.
AK-47. That just take you.
It don't. That take you.
Yeah.
That's the protection from a woman. At least what I'm understanding, because I don't know everything, but what I'm understanding from my wife is protection means, you know, will you look after my kids the way I would want you to, right? If
Mm.
I if I if I go away with my mother out of town, or if I got to go out on a business trip and you stay home, will you care for them,
Right.
right? Will you make sure
Right.
they good? Um, if something go down and I can't be, can you be,
Right.
right? That's protection to me. At least that's how I've interpreted it from my wife, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's what that means, right? For a man, all we want is respect and trust,
That's it. Those are
right?
the two key
But
things.
but respect might not mean right. Like uh, respect ain't color purple calling me Mister. That's that's not that
That's
ain't
not
it.
it. No, that's
That
not it.
ain't it. Like that's not
Right.
respect, right?
Right. Right.
Respect just might mean like, yo, I wanted to make a decision. You let me make the decision. And even though I failed, you didn't treat me like a failure. You just said, all right,
Mm,
baby, get back up and let's try it again.
that's it. That's it.
That might be respect, right? And
Right.
trusting me, right? You know, you might have disagreed with a decision, but you still went with my way of viewing it.
Yeah. And Chris, let me ask you this question, and I just, this isn't in any of our notes or anything, but when you and your wife are having conversations, about whatever, decisions, a decision that was made, whether it's with the children or what have you, and there's a decision that maybe she didn't necessarily agree with. Like, how do you all go about having those kinds of conversations? Because I know, like, and I'll just say this: I know my wife and I. I'll use the children as an example. If I do something and she doesn't agree with, like, we've even created household rules to where it's like, I may not agree with you, but I'm not gonna correct you in front of the kids, right? I'm not gonna be like, well,
Mm,
so literally,
yeah.
if there was something and she
Wow.
did it didn't touch her the right way, my wife and I,
Mm,
we've personally said, we're not going to correct you in front of the children. We will go into that room at some point in time and we will have a conversation, and I'll let you know, hey,
mm,
listen, the way you handled that was, so and so, I really wasn't feeling the way that you handled that. I didn't say anything at that time,
mm,
because and the reason that we do things like that is because my wife always works very hard to make certain that the children respect me as dad, and I work very
mm,
hard to make sure the children respect her as mom. And what I said
mm.
was, we're not going to allow the children to even get in between what we got going on. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So are
Wow.
there things that you all, maybe not that, but things that you all, just from like a decision making standpoint, how do you all communicate those kinds of things to each other?
Man, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're going left here, but
Brother,
hey.
you got 28 years on me, so I'm still like fresh out the plastic learning. I don't know if it was even a conversation that we had directly. I remember one time it stood out to me. I think I went off on the kids about something one time, and I got in the shower,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife walked in the bathroom and was like, "Uh, that wasn't the best way to handle that, babe."
Yeah.
And I'm in the shower, and I'm feeling it, like I'm feeling like what he and she like, babe, that wasn't it.
Right.
And what she hit me with was the other side of that. She was like, I think you need to go and apologize.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, uh, okay. And what I realized in the moment was, for her, to your point, she made a decision. I'm not gonna correct him in the moment.
Yeah. That's huge.
I'm We're gonna go talk about it, right? So I don't think it was we never sat down and said how we gonna do that in the moment. And the only reason why that moment sticks out for me so big is because it was in the time where I'm still learning.
You
I'm
said
trying to get
right.
my foot, and I don't want it right. And so it was like she kind of helped me navigate the moment, but in private.
That's good.
And it
Yep.
was like, all right, cool. So I got out the shower. I remember, like, I got out the shower, got dressed, and like I kind of thought about what she said, and I was like, you know what? She right. If she feeling like that, all right, cool. I gotta go,
You're right.
handle
Go
some
handle
business.
it.
So I went over to the boys' room, and I went and apologized. Like,
Yeah.
but here's the thing: it had nothing to do with how I felt.
Mm.
It was my wife said, "Yo, I don't think that was the move, player."
Right.
Like, all right, cool. And she gave me her explanation.
Right.
It wasn't about whether I agree or not. It was
Right.
about, okay, clearly if she saw something, then
Right.
that means she felt comfortable enough or
Yeah.
felt like the need of, nope, I gotta say something. I just can't let that moment happen, right? So I don't know if it was something that we've ever talked about. It was just that moment stands out to me a lot because that was like my first time going, oh
That's
snap,
huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta kind of deal with the moments.
Yeah. And the crazy thing, as a man, you could have been like, "What? You could have dug your heels in the ground, and be like, nah, I'm
Yeah.
the man. You know what I'm saying? Like you.
Yeah.
But there's something about being able to say, you know what, you might be right, and let's grow together through these things. And I know,
Yeah.
like again, even with my wife and I, with 5 children, and the interesting thing about having 5 children is every last one of them are totally different, like
That's
like
crazy.
totally different. So like when you
That's
like you
wild.
talking like they're totally different. So the way that we interact with them and deal with them is totally different. And our second oldest son, the doctors say he has special needs. The doctors say he's on the autism spectrum, right?
Okay.
So that's a different kind of challenge. So we've had to
Mhm.
work through just some interesting things. You know what I'm saying? Especially pertaining to like the children and their feelings and things like that. Because we have, for example, Kai's our 19-year-old, autism spectrum. Then you got this one over here who thinks he gets fair. He's treated differently than this one, and you're like, no,
Right,
I treat
right.
him differently, just like everybody. And so you're trying to, I
Mhm.
mean, literally, I'm just being honest, man. I mean, every now and again, you feel like feel like you might have a Kurt Franklin moment. You might have a Kurt Franklin
Right.
moment come. You know what I'm saying? might have one of them Kurt Franklins come up,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
even
yeah.
in that, you know what I'm saying? It's just like how do we work through those things, and having and being on the same page is key and critical. So,
I like what you said though, because I mean there are things that my wife and I we have agreements around. Some of them are probably just like silent agreements
mm-hmm.
that have like, and I think it's different for everybody because every man, it's almost like every day something new comes up and you
Yeah.
like, I don't know what to do with it. You know what I mean? And so all you can
Yeah.
do, like you wish you could put a pause on time
Yeah.
and then talk to your wife in the moment and then come back in time and do you can't
You
though.
can't
It's
do that.
like this just happened. Like
Yep.
like, and I I don't know, man. I think it's just everybody has to be willing to go, even if I think here's the problem. I think we're all assuming perfection in the moment because we're thinking about their future with the kids. And I think sometimes what I'm learning, at least with myself, is I got to think, "Ho- even if I get this wrong,
mm-hmm.
can I show my kids that I'm vulnerable enough to go, yo, I got that wrong,
That's
and
good.
man up and go, yo, I screwed that up,
Yeah.
right? Like that's on me,
Yeah.
and that way they see both sides, right? Like they might see me upset about something,
Right.
but they also can see me come back and go, hey, yo, that was my fault. I
Yeah.
screwed that up,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And I
That's
didn't,
huge.
here's what I didn't know or whatever, right? And then move on, right? The right way.
Right.
Asking for forgiveness or whatever the case may be, right? Um, like I realize like I'm a flawed dude and I don't know a lot. Um, and I don't pretend to know a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I gotta take situations case by case, right? And in the moment, um, because our kids are not thinking about our schedules and our busy lives. Let's
Yeah.
just be real.
Yeah.
They are not thinking about the world around them.
No, they're not. They're not.
They're thinking about whatever they were doing in the moment. So you just got to deal with it in the moment. Like, and even with that Kurt situation, like nobody's perfect. I don't look at him and go, oh, he's a bad person. I just look at the situation and go, there, unfortunately, I love the way you put it when we talked about it. There's Kurt Franklin, the parent, and then there's Kurt Franklin, LLC,
That's right. That's right.
right? And so,
And you got to protect both.
unfortunately,
You got to protect
you
both.
got to protect both. And it's not, and he didn't ask for a contentious relationship with his son. Nobody
No.
asked for that,
No.
but he has one. And unfortunately, when the public decides we want to convict people by public opinion,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's because your life ain't on blast.
Right.
Because I guarantee you, if we put your life on blast,
Mm-mm.
there would be things that people would have their popcorn, reviewing and criticizing your
Right.
world too, right? And
Right.
It's just that your life ain't public. That's what I always tell people. Like, don't be looking at people's situation on TV and oh, I wouldn't have never. Don't say that you would
Yeah.
never,
You don't know.
because
You don't know.
you don't
You
know.
don't know.
And maybe not that you don't know. It's just my life ain't public, so I can go
Mm.
talk about somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe in that. Like, I don't believe in that. Like, that's that man. As a man, we were talking about this in the parenthood fraternity. There's a time with sons that are hard,
Yes.
and they are trying to establish their dominance as they get older,
Yes.
and that comes in conflict with the household that you built,
Yeah.
your kingdom.
Honestly speaking, and I know, and I'll be real and transparent. With my oldest son, who's 24 now, when he was about 13, we really had some conflict. And it wasn't bad conflict. It was conflict in which he wanted his father home, and his dad was always gone with
Mm,
everybody else. You know what I'm saying? My career, all I did was travel. All I did was train. All I did was teach other people. All my son wanted was me
mhm,
at home. You know what I'm saying? So one day I came home. I think I may have shared this story with you, but came home one day. My 13-year-old son looked at me and he said, "Why are you here?" And I'm like, "What you mean? Why I'm
mhm.
here? What you mean? I live here. This is my house." I'm laughing it off like it's a joke, but he's like, "Oh no, seriously, like you ain't never here." I'm like, "Oh, whoa, wait a minute." You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
and that thing hurt so deep because all I wanted
Yeah.
to do was, to be dad, be his father. And from like 13, I'll probably say to probably a good 17 and a half. I mean, there was this, he was growing and he was a man, and I'll never
Yeah.
forget, we had the moment, we had the little boxing altercation where, he tried to show me that he was grown, and I wanted to make sure that I showed him that he was not. And, the
Mhm.
the girls was going crazy and screaming, and oh man, I was so sore the
Right.
next day. I was so sore the next day, like for real. But again, I can only imagine if somebody had a cell phone on that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And saw what was going on, and they put that on IG. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah. Yeah.
Pastor beats his son to the ground. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And has him in a chokehold. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
Right.
what would have happened then? Now I love my son,
Yeah.
and our relationship is I mean, it's unmatched right now. You know what I'm saying? But those are times
Mhm.
that you grow through, and it's hard. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Now going back to what my son said, there was some truth to that, and I had to own that truth,
There
because
you
at the end
go.
of the day,
Yeah.
my son, all he wanted was his father. And just to finish the story, I went to my wife and I said, "Honey, let me tell you what Trey said to me." You know what she said? She said, "Well, honey, sometimes I do feel like a single mom because you travel so much." Bruh. I mean, bruh, what? Now, mind you, I'm coming to you for, I need a little
She
consoling
hit
right
you on the
now.
other side of the
You know what I'm
face.
saying? Yeah, and I was like, what's really going on here? You know what I'm saying? But it changed, that incident changed me, because that was the moment that I said, this traveling, I don't need that no more. And
Because
at
it's
that
hard to
moment,
find balance.
yeah,
It's so hard. It's hard to find balance between trying to provide and you got to make some sacrifices and being present, right? Like, one of the things I talk about all the time is everybody's trying to handle their four areas of wellness in their life:
mm-hmm.
physical, financial, spiritual, and mental.
Yeah,
And the thing you got to think about is if one of those things were off in my life, it totally derails my life.
everything's off. Yep.
And so we're all working as hard as we can to find balance in all four. And it's
Yeah,
hard. There ain't no there's nobody who ever got it right.
that's
I
right.
don't care.
That's right.
I don't care. The most successful person has children sitting in the wings going, well, yeah, y'all think he great, but he ain't been home for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice that we live in this $2 million house,
Yeah,
but it's empty. It's echoing.
that's right. That's right. It's a house, not a
You know
home.
what I mean?
It's a house, not a home.
Right. And
Yeah.
so there's no one way to do it. I think, and that's the one thing I think, a lot of I'm learning, at least for me.
Yeah, we all learning.
Um,
We all learning. So I'm
we are
telling you, bro,
all learning.
after 20 years, I'm learning every single day. But here's the thing, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
say this, and I know you're doing the same thing. We trying. And look, brother, I'm trying. I'm giving everything I got with this thing, man,
Hmm.
because I
Hmm.
realize that for me, it's about the legacy that ultimately I will be leaving at some point in time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I want to make
You're
certain that
right.
the legacy that I leave is secure for my children's children's children. That's
Yeah.
real. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
Yeah,
trying,
man.
man. I'm
Yeah.
trying to pour into the kids. I'm trying to pour into my wife. I want them to be able to see me, to know me, to be able to say, you know what, you remember when dad did this or when dad would teach us this. Like I want those memories to happen. My wife said something about 2 years ago. She says, we're going to stop like just going out and buying stuff and we're going to start creating memories. And
Mm.
I was like, well, what do you mean? You know, because remember gifts. I'm the gifts guy. She's like, no, we're because I'm like, what do you mean?
Right.
She's like, no,
Right.
we need to start doing things that we need to create memories with our family, so that when we come back together and the kids are 40, you know what I'm saying? We can talk about, hey, you
Yeah.
you remember when we took that trip to Daytona? And we drove down, and you remember when Jesse did the so and so or Kai did, like those are memories that you that they're
That's my
wait.
wife.
You know what I'm
My
saying?
wife,
Yeah.
listen, she won't spend money on much. But when you start talking about experiences, she like,
Mm-hmm.
what we doing?
Mm-hmm.
My wife is ready for she's that kind of person. And it's because she believes in memories. She
Yeah.
believes in those experiences. And it's something I'm having to learn to get used to. And I think, I remember telling her it's the part of the issue is I still got this thing in my head that I'm just you know, this dude that came from this little corner of Gainesville, Florida, who never saw anything.
Yeah.
And the problem is I sometimes I let that limited exposure limit what I even will allow myself to be
Wow.
exposed to.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
deep when you think about it, right? Like you gotta, and so I realized like, oh snap, all right, Chris, you can't. This is actually a good thing for you
Mm-hmm.
because it teaches me something. Like I remember we took the boys to Spain 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we spent like almost like a week and a half over there.
Mm-hmm.
And up until that moment, it didn't dawn on me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, did we have some National Lampoon's moments while we were there? Absolutely. My
Right.
God, the
Right.
nonsense, the stuff that fell apart was Jesus Christ. I would never wish that on nobody.
Right.
But but when you come home, to your wife's point, you got a memory.
Yeah.
You got an
Yeah.
experience. You had something that you know what I mean. That'll last you a lifetime. So, as we wrap, one of the things that I definitely think that'd be helpful to anybody if you and your spouse have not read first
Yes.
and then done the test from the five love languages. I would even say if it's been a while since you've done it,
Do it.
redo it because remember you're an evolving human being. You are growing,
That's right.
right? So if it's been 4 or 5 years,
Do it
like
again.
here's one of the tests. This is the test I always tell people. Like today, if I'm ever out to eat with any of y'all, anybody who watching this, and you put tomatoes on my sandwich, I'm gonna be mad
Mm.
because I don't eat tomatoes.
Mm.
I
Me
don't eat
neither, bro.
tomatoes and I don't like them.
Me neither, bro.
But maybe 7 years from now,
You
who
might.
knows?
Yeah, you might.
I might be like, why didn't you put tomatoes on my sandwich?
Right.
Because I'm evolving, I'm changing. There's certain things that I didn't like before that now I'm like, oh, I actually kind of like that, right?
Right.
So it's the same thing. Like your languages might shift by your experiences and your maturity and what you're learning about yourself and the self awareness. And so to have that tune up, I like the way you always put it, that tune up, if you will,
That's
of
right.
of you. The book is a great thing to have. It is a great piece to have, and so we just thought, man, do that, leverage it, like you use that tool because it's a
Yes.
tool that Gary and his team have put together that's helped millions of people, and why not us, right?
Yep.
Why not you?
Yep. Yep. And to that point, they also have a five love languages for your children. So if you
Oh
got
yeah,
kids, Get your kids a book, man. It's the same 5 love languages. And if you are a business owner and or an entrepreneur, they also have a 5 love languages. They don't call it 5 love languages. They call it 5 something languages. But it's the same exact
Yeah,
love languages
yeah,
for business. So this is a great, great resource. Make sure you use it. Find out what your languages are so you know how people can speak your language, but also how you can speak other people's language. I think, man, the resource is amazing. Resource is amazing.
yeah. So listen, while we close this out, man, we hope this conversation has been helpful for you, ladies. We hope that you found out what you really need to know about your man. And honestly, the whole point of this conversation is to spark an engagement conversation at home,
Yes.
right? So, so hopefully something we said. I don't care if it was a little something or a big something. Um, go have that conversation, right? And in an effort to make your relationship more healthy, it's the best thing that you can do. I'm Chris Williams. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, the Christopher Williams, or you can visit my website, twac.live. You can also find me on YouTube, hashtag TWAC. Philip, tell them where they can find you, man.
I am Philip Edge, and you can find me at _Philip Edge on IG, Edge Life 7 on Facebook, and you can go to my website, www.thephilissedge.com.
Listen, man, this has been Kicking It PC, episode 2. We'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.
Peace out, y'all.